I certainly couldn't host Christmas for my children. So I signed up to be one of those needy families that someone would adopt. I will tell you, when Christmas Day came and I opened the door, the delivery of beautiful wrapped toys and food items that we can use and present for me also. It was so generous and so fantastic. And just for that moment, all the worries that we had faded and we were transported into a different world for the day of Christmas because some family saw fit to adopt us.
We hope you've enjoyed this week's show. Thank you so much for listening. Now, to find out more, head on over to lameredith.com and be sure to hop on the mailing list too. If you've enjoyed this show, please leave a rating and review or share with a friend. And if you really, really liked it, go ahead and subscribe so that you never miss another episode. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode of Persistence U with Lizbeth. Welcome to the Persistence U podcast with Lizbeth. That's you as in university, but we're really much more of a community here. Lizbeth Meredith is an author, speaker, and online teacher. Each week, she'll be delivering amazing stories from survivors and strivers, all threaded together with a dose of persistence. We're so glad you're listening.
Her sisters and brothers, it is great to see you close to the holidays. And can I just tell you, we are approaching our 5th year together, 5 years of Persistence U with Lizbeth. And now that we're getting close to Thanksgiving and then Christmas, season 5 is wrapping up. I want to let you know how much I have appreciated you being here over the last 5 years, almost 5 years, and through so many inspiring, fantastic guests. It has been my joy to meet them, to connect with you, and to illuminate people's stories of persistence, of healing, of working through things like grief or other obstacles, or just sharing wins in their lives. It's been awesome. And I say this because I also know that I need to have more time to myself, to have more time for writing, more time for reading. I need to work and make money and not just spend it on the podcast, because the podcast is quite expensive and it takes a lot of time. So I need to step away for season after the season. And I'm not saying go away forever, but I am saying the guested part of Persistence U with Lizbeth has come to a close. And I'm really excited about the work that I've done and the work that you have helped, some of you have helped me do, or whenever you've shared or made comments. It has bolstered so much my spirits. So thank you. Huge thank you to my patrons, and a special huge thanks to patron Gary Schwartz, but all the patrons that I've had. And I did very little to consistently advertise for patrons. And for those of you who don't know what patrons are, there is, a patron is someone who's going to pay a little bit of money or maybe a lot of money to an artist or a creative person so that it can offset the costs that they accumulate to either write or podcast or both, or whatever that creative is doing. The thing about doing patreon.com, using that app or that vehicle as a way to bring in a little income and offset my costs, is it asks for you to connect more with your patrons as an extra gift to them every month. But because I do so much, I ran out of the ability to do that, because I'm also teaching and I'm also doing other things and writing. So I did a terrible job of consistently bringing up the opportunity to have patrons. I will say that there is another story behind that, and that is an important one for me around the holidays. I had spent so much of my life, especially my early decades, relying on the kindness of strangers. And I will say, I'm bringing this up because it is the holiday season. Our world is a little bit, and not really a little bit, a lot of it in tatters. And people are struggling financially, people everywhere. Maybe you, certainly I have. It has been a really rough time around the globe in the United States. It's very hard for at risk families financially. And so I just remember back in the day when I had first left my children's father, my then husband, and went to a shelter, brought the kids for safety, got a protective order, and started kind of mapping out what my life might look like, and realized that I needed to get on low income housing, get on food stamps. That was something that a lot of older generations, including my mom's, that was the most disgusting version of humanity, were people who asked for government help. And here I was going to do that. So I stayed in a shelter, and then I, enrolled in food stamps, got daycare assistance, and lived in Section 8 housing. When it came time for my kids and my first Christmas, I had the children in play therapy because one had seen me get injured, a marital injury, I should say, or an act of domestic violence. And she was traumatized, and we had been propelled into really abject poverty and didn't have furniture, didn't have dishes, didn't have anything. I certainly couldn't host Christmas for my children. So I signed up to be one of those needy families that someone would adopt. That was through our counseling agency. We had a pay-as-you-can community counseling agency, sliding fees, scale sort of thing, where if you made $500 a month, maybe you pay $10 for a counseling session or $5, whatever. I will tell you, when Christmas Day came and I opened the door, the delivery of beautiful wrapped toys and food items that we can use, and present for me also, it was so generous and so fantastic. And just for that moment, all the worries that we had faded, and we were transported into a different world for the day of Christmas because some family saw fit to adopt us. I was terribly embarrassed, and to some extent, I still feel a little weird about that, but I'm so grateful, so very grateful. That hadn't been our first experience with charitable giving, though, because truthfully, in my marriage, where I was isolated, and at one point, my then husband had access to my car, I'd lost my job, and he gave me $25 a week to spend on food in Alaska that had to cover my baby's formula, as well as her diapers, because I was pregnant, very, very pregnant with a second child. And so we literally could not survive off of that, even then. And so my dear friend Shelly had arranged through her church. I never told her, I never told anyone what was going on. I wanted my marriage to work at that point. I just wanted the bad times to end and for me to raise kids in a two-parent home. So I didn't say anything, but my friend Shelly from a new mothers group that I had attended came over unexpectedly. And when she opened my refrigerator one day, she saw nothing in there. There was like nothing. And so around Christmas, and I'm going to say I was pregnant with my second daughter. And my little one was, my first child was, I think, just a year old. Shelly had arranged through her church, through her faith community, that there be an anonymous donation made to our family. So Christmas in 1988, the end of it, 1988, got a knock on the door in Anchorage, Alaska. Wasn't expecting it. I opened the door, and a man that I did not recognize said, "Santa's sleigh came early this year. And he wishes you a Merry Christmas, and he drops off this huge, huge bag and then boxes. There was food, there were maternity clothes, and there were diapers and toys. Those two acts of just a stranger's generosity, I always kept in the back of my mind. Not everyone's going to be like this, but I kept in the back of my mind that there were strangers who invested in us. And so when I didn't want to go to college, but I knew I needed to get us off the poverty train and not back in it or remarry someone just quickly so that they could take care of me, I felt like we had investors. People had invested and cared for us. They may not have known our names, but they had invested in us. And I wanted to do well for them. And I wanted to be able to pay it forward, which I did and have for many years. I hope this holiday season that as I wrap up season 5 and we reach the holidays of 2025, that you might consider making a donation to your local food bank, donations of cash, or not cash, but a check, or however you want to do it online. You don't even have to leave your house. Donations, monetary donations go a lot farther than cans of food. Or consider adopting a family through one of the angel trees you'll find at your local mall. Most of us have everything we actually need, and surely there are things we always want because why not? We're in a consumer environment, and no one ever feels like they have enough stuff. But to take a step back and to think about people this season that could use you and maybe something that you have that they don't could make it the best Christmas for you ever. I do feel like volunteering is an act of selfishness or self-care as much as selflessness. And if a person doesn't have money, but they have time to donate, or they even want to if they're in good health, they want to donate blood, they want to donate plasma, they want to donate platelets. If whatever it is, you make a huge difference. And the people who are doing less well than you will be so very grateful, even if they don't know how to say it in the moment. So wishing for all of us that we could know wherever we are, however we are, we have something that could make the world just a little bit better for someone else. And it is a very wonderful thing to do. I look forward to connecting with you in the future and episodic podcasts where I may have limited forward to just being for a while. In the meantime, I wish you the best and happy holidays. Thanks as ever for being a huge part of my life. Find me at lameredith.com. Sign up for the newsletter if you haven't already. I reach out usually about once a month, not super cumbersome. Just tell you what new things are going on in my world. And I sure hope you'll stay in touch.
We hope you've enjoyed this week's show. Thank you so much for listening. Now, to find out more, head on over to lameredith.com and be sure to hop on the mailing list too. If you've enjoyed this show, please leave a rating and review or share with a friend. And if you really, really liked it, go ahead and subscribe so that you never miss another episode. We'll be back with another episode of Persistence U with Lizbeth.